Recently, former BBC news anchor and media expert Jeremy Nicholas gave a gripping online presentation to my mastermind group. He was talking about the importance of preparing yourself to be interviewed by the media and the importance of having a reason why you have the opinions that you hold, so that it's less easy for a journalist to trip you up and it's actually easier for them to reinforce what it is you're putting across. Let's see what he has to say.
So just put in the chat box, you've been invited on your local BBC radio station, you've intrigued them and they've said, so tell me about your business. That would be a very soft question, wouldn't it? But what would be the 5 questions they might ask you about whatever it is? So you might have a new product, a new product coming out, you might have a new service, it might be the anniversary of your business or something. What sort of things do you think they would ask you? So let's have a look at some of the things. What do you do? Okay. Why are you starting a TV station? How did you get to do this? What made you become a professional speaker? Why don't SMART goals work? Well, I think they do, don't they? Maybe not. No, David says no. No, it's big fat hairy goals. I've just remembered branding. How does havening work? I don't know. Havening or is it havening? Yes. Oh, that's Mark Winfield. Yeah, the havening. Yeah. I always get annoyed when people say Haverhill instead of Haverhill in Suffolk. Why are you awesome? I don't think they'll ever ask you that, Michael, if I'm honest, because that sounds like too gentle a question. Do people really care? Says Darren. Tell us a bit about your story. How do you help people? What difference does it make to people? So obviously all of these are going to depend on what your particular story is. What will business be like in 12 months? So that's a good one. How do you help businesses grow in a recession? What is an impossible question? They're good ones from Philippa. Rob, why is innovation so important right now? Andrew, how do you build a great team? Yeah, so these are good questions that are coming through now because these are questions that would have general appeal to an audience and they're not just you publicizing yourself. So this is all about you playing the game. You're on there, you're going to promote your business, but you've got to give them a bit of value. No one's going to invite you on just to talk about what your business is. But if you can answer general questions and then, the value that you're going to get is that they're going to say your name and where you're from. Where does Jeremy buy shirts? TM Lewin, size 16 with 33-inch arms, which is quite short if you ever want to gift me anything. Where is Jimmy Choo? So Jimmy's my dog. I don't know where he is. Can't see him anywhere. Probably upstairs. Okay, so that's the good thing about that is that you've thought about it, that you haven't been caught on the hop as that author was. You've thought about what the 5 questions might be. Now, I want you to look at those 5 questions, and it might be an extra question, or it might be one of those. What is the one they hope you're going to ask? What is the one that you hope they will ask you that you've got a really good answer to? And what is the nightmare question that you're hoping they won't ask you? Because, there might be, they're probing some kind of flaw in your argument, or it might be some crisis on the horizon that you don't really want to talk about. So that is my media training. Whenever I have people come to me and say, I'm on the radio, I'll say, right, write down your 5 questions and then think, what's the best question? What's the nightmare question? So Sarah Fox's nightmare question is, aren't all contracts just a terrible waste of paper? Which is a great question. What would you say to that, Sarah? If I said, aren't all contracts just a terrible waste of paper? No. Okay. And I'll say, Sarah Fox, thanks for joining us. Right. So you'll have to always answer with yes and. So no, they're not because
they help us to make relationships and to recall them in a way that both of us can actually remember.
Yeah. Okay. So some good questions. So David would say, why massive goals? Yeah, that's a good one. Why should people make heart-shaped decisions? Says, yeah, Graham. So they would ask that if you'd sent them a good advanced press release, Graham, saying about heart-shaped, they'd probably say, what are heart-shaped decisions? Would be a thing. And then do people really ask them? Philippa says, are you ever allowed to give them some questions to ask? Right. So if someone came in and said, these are the questions I'd like you to ask me. So say they were on a bit of paper like this, Philippa, this is what I do. I'll say, oh, thank you very much for those. I take them and then I turn them over and write on the other side and not even look at them because I am not a PR person. I'm a journalist and I don't really want, sometimes people will say, can you fax questions in advance? Notice I've gone very old school there with fax, or email. I believe some of the younger people use. And particularly, the more important the guest is, the more they think. They can say, "Can you send us our questions?" Or they'll get their PR person. "Can you send us your questions in advance?" No. Why would I do that? Because I want it to be a natural conversation. I don't want it to be staged. Right. So here's another good bit of learning. Off the back of that, a technique called PREP, which is PREP, and it stands for position, reason, example, position. PREP. Now, Sarah Fox is grinning because I did a session with her on PREP when she was on a panel, something to do with legal contracts, construction, some dull stuff. And I said, I'll tell you some of the questions that they'll ask you. And how many of those questions that I suggested came up, Sarah?
I don't think any of them did, actually.
Good. So marvelous endorsement there. So PREP, position, let's put you on permanent mute. PREP, position, reason, example, position. So the idea being, you say, this is what my position is on something, and then you need to say why that is your position. And then the crucial bit and the hard bit is you have to give an example. So if someone says, "Do you believe in capital punishment?" You can't just say no. You have to say no, I don't, because I'm worried that an innocent person might be executed. And an example is James Hanratty was hanged for the A1 murders, and it turns out he didn't do it. So, and then the position at the end is, so that's why it's my position. So you're thinking both P's are the same. They are. You state your position. That's the reason. That's the example. That's the position. And so I've coached a lot of politicians that have been on Question Time. And whenever you go on Question Time, you don't know what the questions are in advance, but obviously you know what's in the news that day and that week. And you'll see them when someone in the audience asks a question, that if they're not the first one to go, they'll put PREP, what's my position on this? Why is the reason? And then they'll be frantically searching for an example, usually someone in my constituency only the other day said this. I think, right, that's what I've done. So PREP.
Some great advice there on being interviewed by the media by Jeremy Nicholas. So the next time you need to have an interview with any kind of media, prepare yourself properly and have a reason why you hold the opinions that you do. Cheers, Jeremy. See you soon on another Dave's Desk. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and hit the notification bell for more videos. Then click the TV to watch the next video. Oh, and don't forget to visit our website at davidhyner.com to claim your free audiobook. Until the next time, go Rhino. Have in it.